third year as elementary principal and after-school enrichment director. It's my 13th year overall in the district. And what I can tell you about Van Buren and how we do our enrichment, we run after-school program. Well, first off, we're a very rural district. We're in the far southeast corner of the state of Iowa. We are primarily a county school. There are two districts, or three districts actually, that kind of edge into Van Buren County a little bit on the three borders, obviously not Missouri. But we're a very rural district, low population. We also have well over 50% free and reduced rate at the elementary and secondary building. And enrichment has been running here for, I want to say at least, I think maybe since the original inception of the grant. But my familiarity with it is the last 3 years. During the school year, we run first grade through sixth grade here in my building. And to give you kind of a geographic picture, the elementary at Van Buren is in the little town of Dowds, and we are in the northwest corner of the county. We are 18 miles from Keosauqua, which is the county seat, which is where our 712 building is. So we're kind of off on our own, right on the Des Moines River. So transportation in our district is always an issue, not just for enrichment, but for school as well. So we run a K-5 or K-6 or 1-6 program here after school. We run 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And at the secondary building, at the junior high, we do it a little different to try and increase attendance. We run 2 days a week. Tuesday is theme night. They currently this week they're doing art and photo with the secondary art teacher. She runs a group on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we call it our study table, where kids are allowed, 7th and 8th graders are allowed to attend after school for any help academically, work on their science fair projects, anything like that. We do regular lesson plans here. The big issue is getting all the kids where they need to go. So afterwards, we run what is called an activity bus. And a bus comes here to Dowds Elementary and picks up our students at 5:45. They then run about 12 miles south, meet a bus that's coming from the high school or the secondary building. They meet in a little town of Lebanon. It's called Lebanon. I think there's 3 houses and a church. And they meet at the church. They switch students, and then one travels the eastern side of the county, and the other one travels the western side of the county, dropping the students off from the secondary building and the elementary building as they go at specific bus stops. We do not do door-to-door delivery for the activity bus. We go to bus stops in towns or geographic locations that are centrally located. And the activity bus is available for non-enrichment students. So even though it's primarily for enrichment, high school kids that don't drive can attend practice and then ride the activity bus to their destination. Any questions so far? All right. The one thing that we do that I find very thrilling is our summer camp. And in our summer camp, we do open that up to kindergartners, so that's kindergarten through 8th grade. It is done for 3 weeks in June, so 15 days. We average in the last 2 years, we've averaged 125 kids a day. They don't have to come every day, but they come most of the days. We run 4 buses that have different pickup parts and times all through the county, and they pick up the students, and then they travel here to Dowds and come to the elementary. Those bus drivers then come in and are adult leaders of a group. We divide our kids into groups of 10 to 12 students. There's a non-certified or a paraprofessional that is assigned to each group of students, and the bus drivers take one of those groups. The certified teachers then set up about 8 different stations throughout the building or outside. We do anything building birdhouses to Star Lab that we get from the Great Prairie AEA. We do a cooking or a modified cooking station. And so each day, the group leaders rotate in a specific rotation to half of those groups. We serve breakfast in the morning and we serve lunch. And we go from about 8:30 until 12:30, and then we bus them home. So in a 2-day rotation, they will hit all of the stations, and then the teachers come up with another set of stations to keep building on the theme. And this year the theme was around the world. So obviously at the food station, if our theme was Italy, they would do something with Italian food. We brought in guest speakers from the community that had experiences or visited the foreign countries. We do a field trip a week, which is also pretty cool. We do 2 field trips locally. We go to different parks, and Lacey Keosauqua State Park, which is in Keosauqua, obviously. The Friends of Lacey group, they bring in all their volunteers, and they have stations set up, and we take the kids through the park, the different stations, to learn about the history of that state park. Morris Park, which is a county park over by Stockport, their volunteers come in, and they run stations. And then this past year, the big field trip was to Blank Park Zoo, and our Mrs. Graff, who's a retired teacher, who's been our lead teacher for the last couple of years, and unfortunately she's fully retired now. She set that up. She got some grants to help pay for that. Locally, we have local community groups that help fund that so that our students have that opportunity, because many of our students in Van Buren County are, as I've already mentioned, low income. Most of them, I would say, had not been to Des Moines until they went there with the field trip. And so the experience has just been amazing for them, and that's kind of what we try to do. So that's our enrichment in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd love to field them.
Can you tell me some more things? This is Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me some more things that you do in the summer? You talked about building birdhouses, cooking, Star Lab. Are there some other stations that you could just give some more information about?
Yes. We set up, I believe there's 8 to 10 stations a day, and to tell you exactly what they all are, we do anything from, we incorporate science and look at biomes and different things, depending, like this past summer, I'll speak to specifically, it was a world trip. We had kids eat with chopsticks one day for lunch, and like if we were doing the Asian culture on those 2 days, when they go to the science rooms, they're learning about the different ecologies of Asia. We do a physical education station outside. There's 2 of those where they come up with games that represent those different cultures that we might be looking at on those days. We do birdhouses. We built suitcases this year. And actually how that works is the local lumber yard donates cut-off pieces when they're filling an order. Those pieces then go to the high school, and the high school industrial tech teacher and his students cut them all to size for the plans we have. For this year we did suitcases because we were traveling around the world. And so the high school industrial arts teacher, who also is one of our he also works in the summer for our enrichment, but he and his high school shop classes, or shop class, in the spring they get the scrap pieces from the local lumber yard, and then they cut them all to size, and then they bring them over, and then he runs that station where those groups come in, and it takes a few days to put them together and then paint them and decorate them. And well, we got the Star Lab this year, and that's one of those things that if you're familiar with that, you have to reserve that well in advance. Even though it might not necessarily fit, we did throw a little Star Lab in there, and I have a couple teachers that have taken the class that enable them to use that. I've already mentioned the food stations. 2 years ago, it was a more local theme. So one day students had to shuck the corn. We got fresh sweet corn from a local farmer's market and a lot of other fresh vegetables, and one of the stations was that year prep, and then the next day our food service staff would make what they prepped for lunch. So not only did they get to eat it, they had to learn the work that goes into preparing it. So those are just a few of the examples I can think of off the top of my head.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions? Brett, I know you mentioned that you serve or average about 125 kids per day in the summer.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit more about the enrichment piece as far as the number of students and what are the program hours and things like that?
For the summer?
For the enrichment program,
Mm-hmm.
does that run throughout the year or do you just do a summer program?
No, we run like right now, we started our after-school enrichment in mid-September, and that runs from immediately after school until 5:45. And here at the elementary, that will run Monday through Thursday. Now, there are some days that we do not have, like the week of parent-teacher conferences, we do not have after-school enrichment. And anytime there's a bus driver, mandatory statewide bus driver meeting, we don't run enrichment because we won't have any buses. But here at the elementary, from September until about the second week of May, we will run after-school enrichment. It'll be offered Monday through Thursday from at this building 3:30 to 5:45. At the middle school, it runs Tuesdays and Thursdays. They get out of school a little bit later than us, but they would run from 3:45 to 5:45. And that's 2 days a week, Tuesday and Wednesday at the middle school.
Is this program free of charge to your families?
Yes, everything, the entire program is free of charge. We provide a snack afterwards. It's usually set up, our head cook is in my building. We have a list. Parents get a packet at the beginning of the year that has the, emergency contact sheet, a where to go sheet. So if we get a snowstorm and school gets let out early, obviously there won't be any after school enrichment. They have to fill out a sheet that says if school is let out early and my child is signed up for enrichment, this is where they need to go. So we're not spending a lot of time making phone calls. It's got a calendar for each month, and on those calendars it tells the days that there's enrichment offered and not. And each month the parents submit a calendar with their child's name. Some students attend every day. I would say a majority of our students here at the elementary attend 2 to 3 out of the 4 possible days a week. But those, if they do not turn in the new calendar, they go home until the calendar comes in. But at the secondary building, the junior high kids, they get a little more responsibility with their age. They get to sign up in the morning, and then it's cleared with the parents through the office so that they can attend that accident.
And how many kids would you say that you average in both, in the elementary and then middle school separately?
At the elementary, we average during the school year about 25 a day. Our summer attendance, we obviously, I'm talking 125 in the summer, a lot of kids that do not attend for one reason or another during the school year really look forward to the summer attendance. At the middle school, we really struggled with attendance. Just because that's when, in 7th grade, that's when the after-school sports are starting. We do junior high drama. And so we looked at a way to try to increase that attendance. And last spring, we switched to a theme night, and we let the students decide what themes they would most likely attend. And after surveying all of the 7th and 8th graders, we implemented the top, we said for the next month, on Tuesday, this is going to be the theme because this is the most popular one. And our attendance has gone up. When they do their junior high drama performance, when they did that last spring, even though that's a separate extracurricular, the enrichment kids were available to paint the sets and work on the sets. That's how we incorporated the art component into also helping with the actual junior high play. But our attendance there is probably 12 to 15 a day.
Okay.
But we also encourage them to be, I mean, we started junior high girls basketball last night, and there were 42 girls here for basketball practice. So we want them to be a part of everything, but if that's not their thing, we also have the option of doing our enrichment at the middle school.
Yeah, that's really great, because I think a lot of times after school programs are seen as this separate piece that, maybe resides in the school but isn't so much tied to the school. And so I think that that's great what you're trying to do as far as link it with other activities.
Right.
In
and
addition.
all of our enrichment, both after school, during the school year, and our summer camp, is all staffed by school personnel. So
Wow.
our teachers that are leading after school enrichment are also, I mean, those kids are seeing them during the day in one capacity or another. The paraprofessionals, the non-certified staff that we hire in the summer, 90% of those are school employees, either bus drivers or cooks or paraprofessionals. We do hire, to fill in the gaps, we usually hire about 3 or 4 college students that are home for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That have, and 90% of those that we hire, 3 or 4, I think last summer we hired 4, and 3 of them were pursuing a career in education, so it was a great experience for them as well.
Can you talk a little bit about what you do during the school year with your elementary students on Monday through Thursday evenings?
Sure. We tend to do a lot of themes depending on the time of the year. They come in after school, they meet in the lunchroom, the cafeteria is where we hold our enrichment activities after school. They meet with the 2 teachers that are on duty that night. They take roll, make sure everybody's there, supposed to be there, and then they do a physical education component, take them outside or down to the gym if it's available, and then they come back, and then depending on the time of the year, like right now they're working on fall activities. One day might be an art project, coloring pumpkins or carving pumpkins or something like that. The next day might be a science project. It varies from day to day, and it varies from teacher to teacher, whoever's in charge and is planned for that day. They all get very creative. We're in the process of purchasing some handheld GPS units. When I was at the summer conference this past summer, I attended a meeting where they do geocaching, which I'd never heard of. But we're looking at purchasing about 15 of those, and we're going to set up our own little geocache area. We have roughly 6-7 acres on our property here, and I'm going to help with that, and we're going to hide some things and then teach the kids how to use a GPS, and they're going to do what in the old days we called orienteering with a map and a compass, but they're going to use a GPS, handheld GPS device to go out and try and find the things that we've hidden.
That's terrific.
Brett, I also wanted to ask you about, you said something like 90% of your staff are teachers from the school. And can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I've heard people say that, some people have a difficult time getting their staff to stay for those extra things because, the day is already full enough. So can you talk about how you do that?
Our 100% of our certified staffing for after school and summer enrichment are current employees as teachers of the Van Buren district. It's kind of interesting, and I know I've heard that from other people. When I was at the conference this summer in New Orleans, and I was hearing people talk about how it's hard to find the outside people to come in. It just baffled me. Actually, in the summer, for summer enrichment, I have way more teachers that apply than I have spots available.
Wow.
So I divide it up. I divide the 15 possible working days up as equally as I can, so that I might need 10 teachers a day, and last year I had 21 that wanted to work. So some of them worked the first 7 days, and the others worked the last 8 days. Or they might tell me different days they weren't available, and I would go through on that. For the after-school part, here at the elementary, I have 6 teachers that all showed interest, and they all work in this building. So we just went through and scheduled what would work best for them around their own children and their family responsibilities. And so there's always 2 of them that work either 1 or 2 nights a week. And then at the middle school, there's 4 teachers that take turns running the Tuesday and Wednesday. And those teachers all work at the middle school. So I, fortunately, have not had an issue of finding certified teachers to help. I've always had plenty, and they're always very good to work with as far as dividing it up as equally as possible.
That is really interesting. What do you think contributes to that eagerness to, you know, put in more hours or participate in these programs?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. The pay is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that do it are the ones that would be putting in the time anyway after school if they needed to. We have a very, what's the word I'm looking for? We have a middle school teacher, science teacher, that runs science fair and does science fair projects, and we do a local science fair, a regional science fair, and then the ones that qualify get to go to the state science fair. It's a very popular activity for the 7th and 8th grade students, and we incorporate that into enrichment. And she, you know, would normally stay and help kids with their projects. Well, now it's part of our enrichment program, to where, you know, these kids can come to enrichment and they're just going to immerse themselves into their science project. And sometimes the science teacher is there to help. Other times it's the math teacher or the social studies teacher, but we try to fit things that not only interest the kids but also interest the staff. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I've never had an issue of staffing the after school or summer enrichment. They enjoy doing it. I have a lot of teachers that tell me all the time they look forward to summer. High school teachers that's the only time they have available, but they can't wait to come and work with the younger kids and do the things that they get to do.
That's wonderful. Any other questions?
Well, I'm just wondering, would you mind sharing how much you do pay your teachers?
$25 an hour.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we pay our non-certified $11 an hour in the summer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Do you have anything else to add, Bret?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I do, just going back to the staff issue, I started as an elementary PE teacher in Moews, and then I moved down here 13 years ago, and I taught secondary science. And one of the gentlemen I taught science with is a chemistry physics guy. And when I became elementary principal and I talked to him about coming and doing some of those chemistry experiments and demonstrations with little kids, he thought about it, but once he's done it, he's hooked for life, I think. He just loves being able to come and do that. So I think if you can get them hooked once, they'll see the incredible rewards that you get from working, especially the secondary teachers I see it the most with, that they forget how much fun it is to teach the K-8 kids and to be around them, and that everything's new and exciting for them, so it makes it even more fun for them to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's really unique, I think. We do have another question from Jessica. She said, for middle school, do you have a set number of registered students, or is it open door?
It is open door. It is, they get a ticket. If they have to go to the office and get a ticket if they want to attend. Now, on the Wednesday study table, sometimes they get the ticket whether they want it or not. But for the other ones, for the most part, is they come and get a ticket, and on that ticket they have to clear parent approval. That usually just happens right there in the office. They give mom or dad a call, or grandma and grandpa, and the secretary checks parent approved, and then they just use that ticket to get into enrichment after school. We do not have a cap on the number. We haven't needed to at the middle school, just because because of, we have so many kids that are starting to become involved in so many other things. I see the question on submit reporting at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question, and I can't answer that. How it worked here, and this is my third year. When I came in 2 years ago, we had a financial director that no longer is employed with the district, and she handled the financial end of it. And then we have a teacher that handles our data reporting that is currently not here today, so I can't answer or ask her that question. But last year, I had different people that ran those two areas. And this year, in my third year, I'm on the third set of people, and we're still, that's probably been the biggest issue here, is that the way it was set up originally years ago, they divided out the responsibilities. And then now with retirement and turnover and things like that, a lot of those responsibilities, we're scrambling to figure out what we need to do that. But the set number of registered, the ticket, we put this into place last year, and we didn't have any issues with our reporting, but I can't answer you exactly how we did it, because that is done by another person.
And there's also a follow-up question, Bret, as far as enrichment for middle school. She wants to know.
It is, no, it's, if they are at enrichment, they're there till the end of the day, unless, just like we do here at the elementary, we have a sign-out sheet. The students are there they get dropped off by their teacher here at the elementary. The teachers walk by and turn around, and they have a list of which kids in their class are attending enrichment that day, and they tell those kids to go in. And they go into and those kids are there at enrichment until either a parent comes in and signs them out, or 5:45, which at the middle school would be 2 hours. And that's when the bus shows up, and then we put them on the bus. So the middle school would be the same way. They're there for the entirety of the 2 hours and ride the bus home or walk home if they live in town, or a parent may come and sign them out like they would during a school day if they had to go to an appointment or something.
Well, speaking of parents, what kind of feedback have you had from parents with regards to both the after-school enrichment and the summer program?
I would say majority of it is positive. Many parents make comments of how their kids really look forward to attending the summer camp. Wish they could, their family and work situations allowed them to attend the after-school on a more regular basis, but for the most part, parents are very happy with the program, how it works, how it runs, and about the only time I hear a complaint is if the enrichment cell phone isn't charged, and when they call to ask a question, nobody can answer.
Have you seen a link to performance as far as the students who attend these programs and their performance in school?
I would say, I don't know that I have any hard data on that.
Yeah, but even just anecdotally or just things that you've observed.
I do know that that kids that are attending are typically not discipline issues. I mean, not that they haven't been, but the kids that are attending and being reinforced after school, for the most part, on expectations. We have a PBIS program that we run here, and those same expectations are enforced after school. At the middle school, as you know, there's tons of research out there that says the more kids are involved with after school, the better they tend to do at school.
Mm-hmm.
The secondary building, at the last board meeting, the secondary principal, they have way fewer missing assignments and way fewer D&Fs at the midterm than they had the previous year, with a few, and it's not just enrichment, but that's one aspect of it that we've really emphasized, the participation in that. But they've also implemented a few other things at the secondary building. Here at my building, a majority of the kids that are regular attenders at after-school enrichment tend to be pretty good students. I'm not going to say it's because they're at enrichment, but they're more well-rounded, I believe, and they get just an extra couple hours a day of quality adult interaction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you think of any other questions, Sandy or Jessica?
No, I think this has been very interesting. Thank you very much, Bret.
You're welcome.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that information. You know, it's always interesting to see how the different communities do after school and different summer programming and things like that. So it's always good to throw around ideas. So we appreciate your time. And Jessica and Sandy, if you have any additional questions, you can always email me and I can ask Bret, or you can email Bret directly. I'm sure you've seen each other's emails on those notices that I send out. So
Sure.
yeah, if there are any additional questions, Jessica also says thank you on the computer.
Yep, I see that.
Great.
You're welcome.
And I will be posting the recording right after this presentation. So I know I've had a lot of people tell me that, you know, the Tuesday time either doesn't work for them now or they have other things going on. So we're going to be posting the recording right afterwards, and then we'll see if you get any additional questions.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, I'm going to sign off here. I can see my secretary and my nurse looking at me through the window.
Okay. Thank you.